Previously, we've just been solving one edge pair at a time, and in this video I'm going to teach you how we can solve two edge pairs at one time. So up until this point, we've only been pairing up one edge pair at a time, and this is a little bit inefficient because there are 12 edge pairs all around the cube, and it can take quite some time to solve all of them individually. So what we're going to do now is double your efficiency by solving them two at a time. However, this is a little bit harder and makes your look ahead a little bit more difficult. Up to this point, you should be reasonably okay at pairing up one edge pair at a time because there's not too much thinking. But now once we start pairing up two edges at a time, you have to think a little bit more and get used to moving edge pairs around and getting a bit more familiar with this intuitive process. Initially, it'll also be a little bit harder to actually look ahead, and you will run into a few different or tricky cases, unlike what you run into during when you're solving edge pairs only one at a time. By this stage, I really suggest that you become color neutral with your edge pairing, or alternatively, you can learn color neutrality alongside learning two edge pairing. So the start is basically the same as solving one edge pair at a time. So let's try and solve this white and green edge pair. So we've got one here and one here. So we can do this by inserting this piece into that position, and then to pair up these two, we can do a wide U prime. What's different about two edge pairing is instead of just replacing this with any old edge from either the top or the bottom layer, what we're going to do is intentionally pick an edge piece and insert it into this position so that when we slice back, we've not only solved this edge pair and stored it somewhere else, but when we slice back, we actually create another edge pair. And so I'll show you how we do this in a second. So we need to take a step back and look at exactly what's happening before we actually slice to pair up these two. So here we have the white and green and the white and green down here. And notice that in this position, when we slice is the red and the green edge. So when we slice here like that, this red and the green one will go into the back right position over here. So then, instead of just replacing this with any old edge, if we can find the corresponding red and green edge and put it into this position, then when we slice back, we're going to pair up this one with the corresponding red and green one if we've inserted it into this position. So we slice to pair these two up. If we can insert the red and green here, then when we slice back to pair up our centers again, we're going to move this next to its corresponding edge. So let's do this right now. So we do a U prime, wide U prime to solve these two. Now we want to replace it with an edge from the top, but we want to find the edge with the red and the green edge piece. So here we have the red and the green edge piece staring us right in the face. So what we can do then, if we want to put this piece into this position, it's quite simple. All we need to do is do an R, U prime, R prime. And then when we do a U to slice back, these two get formed as well. So that's what I mean by solving two edge pairs at a time. So after we solve these first two edge pairs, what we can actually do is put them in the back left and the back right positions on our cube. So store them here and here. And now from now on, what we're going to do is only use these front two slots to actually pair up our edges. And we've got the four edge pairs on the top and the four edge pairs on the bottom. When we were solving one edge pair at a time, it didn't really matter exactly how we did it. We did it kind of free form. But now, because look ahead is a lot harder, we need to be a little bit more structured and try and remember exactly where we've stored our solved edge pieces, because it can be very confusing to actually try and pair two edges at a time if you've got solved edge pairs all around the cube and you can't really keep track of where they are. So again, after you've solved the first two, put them in the back left and the back right. And what we're going to do now is only use these front two to actually pair up our remaining edges and insert edge pairs from the top and the bottom layers to help us out. So then it's time to decide which edge pair we're going to do next. And what I see here is actually we've got this yellow and green one and this yellow and green one here. They're opposite one another, but they need to be kind of diagonally opposite one another like so. So this one needs to go down here. So we can do our flipping algorithm, which flips this one and actually doesn't mess up our back two edges. So now that they're in a position where they're in separate layers and we can easily slice to pair them up, what we can do is do a U prime. Before we do the U prime, the slice move, note that this blue and green edge, this blue and yellow edge is here. So when we do a slice move, we need to find the blue and yellow edge and put it into this position. Now, looking around the top layer, I actually don't see the blue and yellow edge at all. So what we need to do is actually flip the cube over and look around the bottom layer for our blue and yellow edge. And it needs to go in this position. So remember, holding it here, it needs to go here. Holding it like so, it needs to go in this position. So the blue and yellow edge is actually here. So then what we can do to put it here is do R, U prime, R prime. So then when we slice back, we solve this pair and also this pair. We essentially repeat the same process for the remaining edges. So let's go with this green and orange one. Its green and orange counterpart is up here. So we want to put this down here without remembering that we've got these two stored in the back. So we want to do moves that don't actually impact these back two edge pairs that we've already solved. So we can do F, R prime, F prime, R. And now we've got that one here, and the blue and the red edge is the one we're looking for when we slice. So we slice here like this, and the blue and red edge is right here. We can insert it, slice back, and those two are solved. Next up, we want to find the white and orange edge. It is here at the moment, so what we can do is insert it down to this position, and the white and the red edge is the one that we're going to be looking for when we slice. Notice at the moment we've got these three edges solved on the top, and this incorrect edge doesn't actually have the other white and red edge piece with it. So when we do a U prime to slice, we need to flip it over to the bottom and find the white and red edge. Here it is, and we can insert it into this position by doing R, U prime, R prime, and then U. And you will find that doing those moves can sometimes be a little bit disorientating when you're actually flipping from the top to bottom, but this is something you'll have to get used to. So at the moment, when we slice back, we actually solved this one, and we got lucky, and this one actually got solved as well. So that was quite an easy case. And like I said, you will run into some difficulties or different situations doing two edge pairing as opposed to one edge pairing. So now, because we've got most of our edges already solved, we can just be a little bit more freeform around the cube. So we've got these two, and these two which need to be solved. So we've only got 3 edge pairs left to solve. And actually, we can do these in just one step. So we've got these two opposite one another, this blue and orange and the blue and orange. So when we do a slice move, we remember to look at this sticker, which is the the yellow and red. Do a slice, put the other yellow and red down here. So from the back, we can move it to the front. It might make it a little bit easier for us to see. So we need to put this piece into here and then slice back. And because we've solved this one and this one, the last one is naturally solved because there's nowhere else the third edge pieces can be. So solving 2 edge pairs at a time is certainly far more challenging than solving just one at a time, and is something you really need to spend a lot of time getting used to. So getting used to inserting edges from the top or from the bottom into this position by using inserts such as R, U prime, R prime, or F, R prime, F prime, R. And the other main tip is, remember, like I said at the start, to actually solve the first 2 edges and put them into the back left and the back right positions and keep those 2 fixed throughout your solve. So you're doing rotations in the Z axis and using the top and the bottom layer to solve your edges. Certainly, you will find that you get a bit slower doing this initially if you've been solving 1 edge pair at a time for quite a while. However, being able to solve 2 edge pairs at a time will actually put you in really good stead for the long run and improves your look ahead and your solving efficiency.